Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to New York Energy Week 2023. My name is James Rosenstein of One Business World, the hosting platform of New York Energy Week 2023, and we are thrilled to welcome you to the most dynamic and influential energy event of the year. New York Energy Week, founded by EnerKnol in 2013, brings together visionaries, experts, and industry leaders from around the globe to explore innovative solutions and shape the future of the energy landscape. So welcome to New York Energy Week 2023, where minds meet, ideas ignite, and the energy revolution begins. It is now with great pleasure that I introduce you to Shannon McGriff, who is the Executive Director of the Energy Professionals Association, TEPA, and she will be talking about the future of retail energy. So Shannon, I hand over to you.
Thank you, James. Good afternoon, and thank you, James, for that introduction, and thanks to EnerKnol and One Business World for having me and the opportunity to participate at this event. With that, my name is Shannon McGriff, like James said, and I proudly serve as the Executive Director of the Energy Professionals Association, commonly referred to as TEPA. In addition, I am the principal of McGriff Energy Consulting, which is a full-service energy management and consulting firm based here in Houston, Texas. I thought I would start today's presentation by telling you a little bit about TEPA, our mission, our membership, our industry advocacy efforts, and our strategic plans. So TEPA was established in 2005 as a non-for-profit organization. Sorry, I'm going to try to advance these slides. One second. There we go. Okay. Not used to the PowerPoint thing. So we were established in 2005 as a not-for-profit organization of professionals dedicated to advancing competitive energy markets across the country. TEPA is a membership-based association with over 175 members currently, representing around 12,000 energy professionals in total. And according to the latest Energy Research Council Group's findings, TEPA members represent around 82% of all brokered retail energy transactions in the United States. TEPA has three different categories of membership. We have our ABC members, which are comprised of our aggregators, brokers, consultants, our associate members, which include our retail energy providers, or sometimes referred to as ESCOs, I know in the Northeast, and our affiliate membership category, which include companies that provide services to the other two categories of membership. So think like technology platforms. EnerKnol is actually an affiliate member within TEPA. Data management systems, anything that EDI systems, so anything that may offer a service to either the providers or the brokers kind of fall into that third kind of catch-all category. In 2013, TEPA expanded from just a Texas association to a national association by expanding into the Northeast markets and forming TEPA Northeast. And in 2018, we acquired the Illinois Association and just finalized the acquisition of the Ohio Association in 2022, making TEPA the full national umbrella for anyone in the retail energy space. So no other regional associations exist, and we kind of now operate as a full national group. So we operate as a self-governing organization to ensure that market participants conduct themselves in a professional manner, have access to accurate information, and provide opportunities to collaborate with other industry professionals. We strive to provide our members with best practices for transacting in the marketplace and working in the best interest of the end user in mind. Our members have experience working in every competitive market, specializing in procurement, structuring, pricing, demand response, risk management, technology, etc. All of our applicants undergo a substantial process, and upon acceptance commits to abiding by our code of conduct, maintaining an acceptable level of market knowledge, and upholding the integrity of TEPA in competitive energy markets. We are dedicated to advancing competitive energy markets across the country. We support our members and strategic partnerships. We provide forums for collaboration and advocate always at the best interest of the end user. And just to round this out, a little bit around our structure, we're a self-governing organization with 13 voting board members, an executive director, that's me, and they all commit to a one-year term. So in case any of them are watching, there's a lovely slide with all of their beautiful faces. We also have several committees that are instrumental in driving the success of our organization, and we rely heavily on our members to volunteer their time and their knowledge for the betterment of the organization and retail energy markets. So with that, I will transition into the main part. Okay, one second, I just lost my notes, which is what I was worried about. Sorry, it's this, my screens are a little messed up. So we have a total of 17 states that allow some or all customers to participate in retail choice. And I wanted to provide a little bit of background about kind of where we are before we talk about where we're headed. So I know the audience is really broad here, but retail energy choice or deregulation is the ability for consumers to have the freedom to choose their energy supplier in a competitive market, as opposed to being limited to one single utility provider. This provides customers with the option to select from different suppliers who offer different plans, terms, and energy resources. Competitive energy markets create a more innovative, efficient, cost-effective, and a customer-centric market. Retail energy choice helps provide the opportunity for market forces of supply and demand to come into play, resulting in more competitive prices for consumers. And choice markets also create a marketplace for renewable energy sources such as solar and wind providers and the incentives of development of clean energy technologies. Another important benefit that competitive energy markets offer is the ability to drive and incentivize consumers' behavior to modify their consumption patterns through demand response and energy efficiency programs. The consumer is empowered to have greater control over their energy choices by selecting the plan, provider, and services that best fit their needs. And finally, choice markets help drive innovation. We are in a significant transition period right now with the increase of EVs, distributed resources, people moving all over the country, smart grids, and competitive energy markets are leading the way for implementing these new innovations. So that will kind of lead us to the future. And as I mentioned, we are currently in the middle of the energy transition. And while everyone may have different motivations for this transition, there is no denying that the landscape is shifting. Today, I'm going to highlight a few of the key transformations that are likely to have the biggest impact on the competitive landscape of retail energy markets. So on this slide, you'll see that I have a lot of acronyms. Our space loves the acronyms. So we're going to start with distributed energy resources, commonly referred to as DERs, because we love a good acronym. DERs are decentralized and typically provide smaller scale energy generation and consumption technologies located to the site of use, and can also include solar, wind, batteries, and more. DERs have the ability to change the future of our energy markets by enabling the decentralization of generation, moving away from consumer dependence on large, centralized, usually utility-owned generation assets. And essentially, they allow the consumer to become a producer of power and participate actively in energy markets. By integrating renewable energy near the point of usage, distributed energy resources contribute to the increased generation of clean energy. In addition, transmission and distribution losses associated with the transportation of electricity over distance can be reduced. In my opinion, and as a resident of the great state of Texas, one of the most impactful benefits provided by DERs is the enhancement of resilience and reliability of the electricity grid. If you've been following any of the news, especially in Texas, really all over the country, you know, we're in the middle of a high heat wave. And you're hearing words like reliability and resilience. The legislative session in Texas used those words over and over again on working through legislation to provide, you know, more demand for our state. So In addition to mitigating the impact of power outages and other disruptions, these DERs can facilitate load balancing and demand reduction, helping to overall increase grid stability. And some may view this as a risk versus a benefit, but the increased development of DERs is causing transformation to the traditional energy market and outdated utility business models. As more consumers become energy producers and participate in the markets, the dynamics are changing. We've already seen this impact from a regulatory perspective, as many states are starting to re-examine the coordination among market participants. In Texas specifically, and I know in many other states, the impact of the crypto mining comes to mind. The next transformation I want to talk about is the implication of AI, or artificial intelligence, on the energy markets. By now, I'm sure we've all been hearing about the advancement of AI with recent programs like ChatGPT and other examples that have been around for a while, like Siri or Amazon's Alexa. Honestly, I can't walk into a hotel room when I'm traveling for work without asking Alexa to turn on my lights, because I'm so programmed to have my home controlled by all of the technology. The implications of AI in the retail energy industry are going to be a big part of the transition into the future. From customized user experiences, energy consumption management, demand forecasting, and increased cybersecurity awareness, AI will be transformative. AI energy technologies will have the ability to analyze customer data, understand their preferences and patterns, and use that algorithm to make personal recommendations that will help enhance the customer experience. On top of all of that, AI systems will have the ability to monitor and control energy consumption in real time, helping to identify opportunities for reductions and cost savings. And with all of this information available to the retailers or the energy service companies who serve these customers, they are awarded the opportunity to better understand their customers' behavior and market to them accordingly. Another beneficial way that retailers can use this information to their advantage is with the demand forecasting side. In addition to already existing smart meters, new AI technologies will be able to analyze data and more accurately predict energy demand patterns. My friends over at Amperon are a really great example of this. To stick with my pattern of the last example being a risk versus reward type, if you will, AI has the ability to recognize possible security breaches by identifying abnormal behavior and detecting suspicious usage. It can also offer some safeguards to sensitive customer data and energy infrastructure. However, some experts might warn that AI can and will take on a life of its own and potentially become a threat versus an asset. I won't bore you with all of the crazy stories I read recently on the AI sites, but they are very interesting. And finally, my third example about the energy transition is energy as a service, or another acronym, which I actually find harder to say, EaaS. So energy as a service offers energy-related solutions to customers on a subscription basis model. We're seeing this outside of the energy space as well. These services provide comprehensive energy solutions that are tailored to the needs of specific customers and can include a broad range of services, including flexibility, risk mitigation, and cost savings. The flexibility that these service arrangements offer our customers to have access to solutions without the burden of a large upfront investment or a long-term commitment, since the provider themselves will likely be responsible for the installation and maintenance of the infrastructure for years to come. It allows these service providers to guarantee a certain level of savings, which helps mitigate the end user's risk as well. In addition, they work to optimize energy consumption, which improve efficiency and sometimes can help offset the carbon footprint of the client overall. These service providers offer reduced operating costs, which leads to savings for the end user. These providers operating this model will tell you that energy as a service is a more holistic approach to energy management and takes the combination of technology and financing to offer cost-effective solutions that can be individually tailored for each consumer. Our Power is a good example in a current TEPA member of a company that have really focused their shift to offering energy as a service packages for their clients. So let's see. I finished a little quicker than I anticipated, but that's because I talk quick. So in closing, what I will say is that, TEPA fully does believe in the competitive retail energy marketplace. We believe that markets empower customers and market participants, and that competitive markets promote innovation and consumer choice, all while helping to contribute to a more sustainable, resilient, but reliable energy future. There will be many challenges along the way, but we are committed to working with legislators, regulatory agencies, other organizations such as REAL or RESA, and the end users in order to continue to advance energy markets as we go through this energy transition. And the future of retail energy is broad, and there's a lot that can happen. And so I would just encourage all of us to participate at those levels and stay active and involved and advocate for the end user. Thanks for your time today. Please feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is here, and we are all over social media as well. LinkedIn, I saw some tweets going out today, so you should be able to find me any of those ways.
Well, Shannon, thank you very much. This seems to be a really unbelievable service that you're providing all consumers, right?
Yeah, so TEPA as a whole, since we represent energy brokers, we're a broker advocacy association. So yeah, representing 82% of all retail energy transactions is a big reach.
Yeah, and are you present all over the country?
We are. So we're in every deregulated energy market. So, yep.
That's quite amazing, because at one point you said that individuals or homeowners are energy producers. You mean if they produce solar energy or something like that, or wind energy?
Yeah, so with the advancement of the distributed energy resources, it allows the consumer to participate in the market. I think the easiest example, well, crypto mining is a big one, right? A lot of the Bitcoin mining sites will have some distributed energy resources on site, solar panels, for example, out in West Texas. So they're able to participate back into the market when the demand calls for it. Tesla is kind of doing the same thing on a residential level with their charging panels in Texas specifically. I don't know that they've done that outside of any other market yet, but they, as a consumer and as a residential user, if you're able to sell your power back into the grid if the grid needs it. Yeah,
amazing. There's a question from the audience here. It says, your members power broker in gas and sell other services. Of those services, how any of them are regulated by states?
Okay, let me think if I understand this question. Do you mean, are brokers registered or regulated individually by states? Is that the question? Sorry, I just want to make sure I understand.
So, as I read the question is, of the services provided by the brokers, how many of them are regulated by states?
Well, so brokers, as of right now, there are only 17 states that have deregulated in some capacity. And some of those, Michigan, for example, and Virginia are very limited in their choice, California. So I think if I'm understanding the question, we can work in 17 states right now, much more for natural gas. Okay, wait, I think you just asked, do they offer services other than brokering power and gas? Yes, so TEPA members offer a full range of services in addition to brokering and consulting power and gas. They can help with some of the distributed energy resources. They can help with energy efficiency. They can help with bill audits. some of those services may be regulated. You'd have to look at it per state basis.
Yeah. Yeah, those are exactly the questions that were raised. So that's perfect. Yeah, and I'm interested in your talking about artificial intelligence. So you think there's a big role for it as time goes on?
Yeah, I do. I think that it's going to be really interesting to watch the advancements in AI and what that's going to do for the individual end user, both on the commercial and the residential side. So we just recently held a TEPA meeting in Columbus, Ohio, back at the end of May, and we had a full panel discussion about this. And it was actually really interesting because we pulled up ChatGPT and asked ChatGPT random questions about energy consumption and what do I do if I'm interested in finding a provider? What are some websites I can go to? And surprisingly, the information was, pretty accurate. And in addition, it pulled from websites like TEPA's website or like Power to Choose, which is a website based in Texas where you can go and look at different residential offerings. So its reach is broad, but as I also mentioned, it's a little scary.
Because of how far it could go?
Yeah, I think people already are inherently distrustful of the ability for their homes and things to be accessed and controlled by smart meters and data and smart thermostats. I just had this conversation at dinner literally last night about when I'm traveling for work. I travel quite a bit for work. I have a smart thermostat. So I turn my AC up when I'm gone. And when I'm on the plane after I land, I can turn it down from my phone so that I come home to a nice, cool home, right?
Yeah.
And somebody made the comment, well, if you have those smart thermostats, the utility has control over your temperature of your house. And if there's a conservation call, like we experienced yesterday in Texas, they can manually turn your thermostat up, which there was a case where that had been happening, but I believe you had to opt in. And I think everybody kind of opted in because nobody really read the fine print a few years ago. And Texas went through some legislative proceedings and removed that. I don't know what other states, if that have those rules or regulations, but it was an interesting conversation. So, I mean, I think people are just a little cautious when it comes to having others having control of their data and their information, and rightfully so.
Yeah, rightfully so. I mean, that's amazing, controlling private information. And with all the information on your site, is it possible for somebody to go through a list and select what seems to be the best provider?
So
Is it
not on the
competitive in that sense?
Yeah, not on the TEPA website. That isn't a service that we offer. However, all of our members are listed on our website, so you can see them broken down by category. And we're always happy. I've had customers reach out with they've had an issue with a specific member, or we have a standards and compliance committee where we can run those issues through. But the entire point of the association and the application process is to kind of ensure that the people that are in the association are, the ones abiding by the best practices and advocating for the best, the customers in use. So I think overall we're doing a good job of that, but we don't offer any pricing or any recommendation or endorsement of, picking one supplier or plan over another. We recommend you work with a TEPA broker who can help you do that.
Right. Somebody said here, you mentioned the fine print on the smart thermostat. I'm not quite sure what that meant.
Oh, I think he had a follow-up. Okay. Are your members liable if they misrepresent the fine print on power contracts? Yeah, and that's a good question. And as a broker or consultant, they can be, depending on the market and the market regulations. So we're currently working through some legislative items in New York for a broker registration process that has been legislatively inactive, and the commission is likely to adopt those rules tomorrow at their 10 a.m. meeting, the 10 a.m. commission meeting. So we'll know a little bit more on what that looks like. But yeah, there's absolutely some liability if there's misrepresentation. A lot of times the broker doesn't take title to the power or the contract, the actual contracts between the end user and the retail energy provider. And so, the broker's job and the consultant's job is to make sure that their customer understands all of that fine print.
Yeah. And then another question she added, are your members liable if they misrepresent the fine print on power contracts?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what I was summarizing. I saw that part of the question. So yeah, their job is to convey all of the fine print and the details and help the customer make the best decision for their needs.
Right. Okay. Well, this seems very interesting and encouraging. And I'm sure you've got a long way to go in the future with all these changes underway.
Yeah, there is a lot going on, but it's interesting, it's deregulated energy is still a fairly new industry. I mean, we're only 20 years old, 22 or 23 years old for the most part. So there's still a lot of room for improvement. We're seeing a lot of consolidation, a lot of acquisitions. So it'd be really interesting to watch where it goes in the next 10 years as the transition continues.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, Shannon, I'd like to thank you very much for this presentation. Very informative. And I think a lot of us want to learn more about it and look into it. There seem to be many possibilities. And we thank you very much and look forward to remaining in touch and following up with other discussions.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.